circus
A beautiful circus trapeze artist agrees to marry a leader of sideshow performers, but his deformed friends discover she is only marrying him for his inheritance. Oh my god!
super likable film. I mean,
Well, I've seen this a few times, and yeah, I enjoyed it this time for sure.
I've actually never seen it before. This is the
Really,
first time.
I've seen it. Yeah.
I've always wanted to see it, but for one thing, it used to be difficult.
Well, it was banned. It was banned in so many countries when it first came out.
Yeah,
And-
but it's not like there were so many pictures that would show up all the time of the classics, black and white films, every one you can possibly imagine, and this wasn't one of them.
Well, this was even made by the same guy, same director that made Dracula that came out a year earlier. That's insane to me, because this is so different.
Yeah, yes, this is, and it bombed. It bombed at the box office.
It was banned initially in the United States. It was banned in a number of cities, so a lot of people couldn't see it. And then the laws were eventually repealed, but I guess technically it's still illegal to be shown in some parts of the United States, which I was shocked by, which I guess makes sense.
Maybe Tennessee, you can't see it in Tennessee. Tennessee.
I don't know where that came from. Sorry. Have a feeling I'm going to be doing that a lot in the future.
I was going to say, you're just practicing, aren't you?
Yeah.
Pretty soon, by no fault of our own, we're both going to be again in the same state.
We're going to have to do a new podcast about stupid Tennessee people or something like making fun of Tennessee. But anyway, so the director actually, just a little interesting tidbit, trivia. The director, Todd Browning, worked at a circus in his youth as a clown and a contortionist, so he was familiar with circus people, and I think that's what inspired him here. I think
he was, and the word on the street was that because I just recently I heard two podcasts on this on Todd Browning, one on Todd Browning and one on this film, and one thing that was for sure was that he kind of got blackballed in Hollywood in getting so close to his crew of the freaks and dismissing his own crew. He did not get along well with the film crew, and he had been having quite a few problems. I guess there was a lot of bad feelings about from way back when he was in an automobile accident where he killed some of the directors and some of the people that he hung around with. He literally ran his car into the back of a train.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and he was just a kind of a cantankerous guy, you know. And this he only did a couple of films more after this, and had kind of saved his money, and he kind of went up to Malibu and sold off his houses in town, and went all recluse because nobody understood what he thought was his magnum opus, which was this film.
He only worked till 1939 as a director.
He really didn't. He just retired and walked away.
Wow. See, I didn't know all this. This is good. This is good information.
Yeah,
so you're beating me out on the trivia.
And like I say, he was these people he was very close to, and at one time he was a very popular director. I mean, he really was. Like right around the time of Dracula, man, he could do no wrong. And he had a very
that was just a year before this.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is it can all go away pretty quick. He had a very theatrical point of view, and it can be told in this story. The theatrical point of view is the way that it's played without the caravans leaving until the very end. Is really interesting. It has a very kind of it turns a melodrama on its end.
Yeah, it's almost like, actually, it felt to me almost like a reality show kind of in a way. Like you felt like you're part of the group.
Yeah, that's absolutely, and that was a big part of it was that all these characters weren't used to acting.
Yeah, well, you can tell that for sure.
They weren't used to acting as much as they were, big theatrical acting in the big tent, that kind of thing.
Well, they were terrible at. Some of them were terrible at delivering lines. It was pretty brutal.
Well, they had a lot of trouble back then with the disparity of voices. In other words, like having a high voice and a low voice was difficult to track. Track the two of them.
Well, that girlfriend, the fiance of one of the main characters. Whew, her voice was high.
Exactly, man. I mean, you had the little people.
Yeah.
That are up in the highest registers.
Well, plus aren't they farther away from the microphone? I mean, I'm thinking physically.
Yeah, that was that was rough.
Well, no, I'm just thinking like physically they're shorter, so they're farther away from the microphone. That's all I was saying.
But it was difficult because
their voices are very high
and they were trying to track them with the
lower voices of the rest of the actors, and
it just didn't work out. And there were a lot of technical problems that they were running into that nobody thought of. But some of the shots that he came up with, like the shot, the shot of being down low, and everybody is crawling towards the.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like they literally do a chase, sort of like the monster chase, and he turned so many things on their nose, right? Like all of a sudden you had the villagers now, where the freaks themselves had become the village, and they were going to turn around and
you find out who the freaks really are in this movie. And it's not the little people the people that are deformed. It's the normal people.
But the best thing is you're in a storm, and everything is being shot down low, and all the freaks are coming low to the ground.
No, that was a great scene where they were coming. The only thing I was confused by was that Prince Randian, the guy that didn't have any arms or legs, who was lighting a cigarette. What was he going to do with the knife when he got there? Because he had it in his mouth. What was he going to do with it? But anyway, here's another trivia question. Speaking of that guy, Prince Randian, he actually, that scene where he was lighting a cigarette,
right?
Apparently it was actually longer, and the original scene had him rolling it. I'm like, that's
really?
Interesting. Yeah.
Wow, I'd love to have seen that.
I liked how they actually kind of worked in, like, it was obviously they crowbarred some tricks in there, like the sword swallowing and stuff, but I like how they kind of worked it in, like, hey, we're having a party, hey, show us your sword trick, let's do the flames, like.
Right, exactly. No, it was
and when they start chanting, that's like, I liked how they started chanting, like, you are one of us.
Yeah, you are one of us.
You are one of us. You are one of us. You are one of us. You are one of us.
And then she won't be one of them. And I have to say that I really want to go back and see it again. I want to take my time.
No, I thought this was. I actually was surprised because I vaguely remembered this. Last time I watched this was like way back, like 20 years ago, probably. And but no, I remembered parts of it, but I actually appreciated it, especially the chase scene. I really liked the chase scene, and even the fight scenes were done pretty well, I thought.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's funny is the whole point of it. It's like the whole point is to prove that, okay, well, the real freaks are really the normal people that are horrible to the other people, the little people and everybody.
Yeah.
And, but at the same time, the little people end up killing somebody. So, I mean, that makes them look bad too.
I know that's the thing is it's not completely turning on its head. It turns its on it and then comes back and.
It's like supposed to be a fable, but it's not like a perfect fable. It's like, well, everybody kind of sucks in the end. It's like,
it
doesn't end in a happy way for me. I mean, it's like, okay, they did this horrible thing, got away with it, but I kind of liked how they got their revenge,
Well, it was such a perfect movie It was a perfect movie ending because it wasn't a perfect movie ending. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Whoa. That was like a dichotomy wrapped up in an enema.
So Todd Browning, he started off as an actor, and his debut was a D.W. Griffith movie called Intolerance, and he was an actor. I didn't know he was an actor before he was a director. I'd say I'm learning stuff now.
Yeah.
I could have looked this up a long time ago, but because I've loved Dracula for so long, I have never looked up Todd Browning. You were the one that brought up Todd Browning, and I was like,
oh, there you go.
Yeah, we need to do some more Todd Browning. The Freaks, let's do, but yeah.
Yeah.
And we have another one coming up.
There we go.
Devil
we'll have
Doll.
another Todd Browning.
Yes.
It's the thing is this so far for me, Todd Browning is 100% because it's Dracula and Freaks. And
then we're going to skip ahead to second to the last movie that he directed.
That's right. Second to the last movie he ever did.
Right.
And we're going to see how that turns out.
Oh. We didn't rate this.
Well, no, we're going to get to that.
Okay. Are you still thinking? I don't mean to rush your process. I'm sorry.
I am not thinking of all. I want to put this right at a 4. It is to me a sublime piece of filmmaking, especially for the period.
Well, so if I were to break everything down and I was serious about acting, maybe I wouldn't like how horrible they are at acting. But then I was looking at it as a reality show, kind of like almost like you're part of the group and you're kind of part of the action, because they did a really good job of making you like feel like you're there, which is like for the 30s. That's amazing.
Right. Well, the thing is what it did is it turned your reality on its nose.
Right. But I'm also probably more compassionate and more understanding to differently abled people than they were back in the 30s. So I can see why this was initially a horror movie, but it's really not a horror movie. It's a human story that I found really interesting, and I agree. I think I'm right at a 4, even though I'm overlooking some of the horrible lines, like the way they and that you could tell they had trouble with some of the girls kind of corralling them. They didn't know what to do in this, like where they all jumped away from the table. One of them was still sitting there going, and you can see off camera they were pulling them off like.
Yeah, and that's part of You're One of Us.
You are one of us.
Right.
The film actually does pull you in and make all that all right, because you're getting a glimpse into a seldom seen world that was really interesting.
Doesn't make me want to join a circus anytime soon.
No, it does not. No, it does not. I highly recommend this film to anybody just to see what you can do. I think it's a good example of what you could do with completely with the limited equipment and limited technologies that you had, that sometimes the people,
and not really a script either, really.
Yeah, but the people of it were just you just got just such a glimpse of just such a different world. Yeah, and
actually the main character really kind of pulled me through it a lot too, because just as how angry he was, that little angry guy, like he was just always angry at everything.
Yeah, well, there you go. You get that.
Yep.
I personally wound up really liking the clown a lot.
Oh yeah, the clown. Yeah.
Yeah, because he had a very stabilizing effect on everything going on, because he was part of the world, but not of that world.
Yep, he was the glue that kept the crew together.
That's right.
I don't know.
Mickey, whoa!
Oh, see, I've been goofy in that situation.
Sorry.
So anyway,
I highly recommend this.
Go see Dracula and then watch Freaks.
Yeah, watch Dracula, watch Freaks. Both of them absolutely sterling, amazing movies.
Absolutely,
okay.
Yeah.
This is it. Isn't this it? This is it. This is it. Isn't this
I think
it?
so.
This is it. This is it. This is it. Isn't this it? This is it.